Hey, this is Rob Swanson with the Real Estate Mogul Show. Let's get into it. What's up, everybody? Rob Swanson back here with another Real Estate Mogul Show. And once again, we've got the crew here in the studio. We've got Edgar taking the center of the couch.
As always,
taking center show.
Yep.
We've got a good one for you today. We're going to be talking about a lot of things into 2024. And again, we're going to kind of circle back on how you can use leverage and automation and technology to your advantage in real estate investing. And I know we've got some cool stories on some houses that have been recently wholesaled. And I think Henry, just this morning, he was at the gym and got a message from a guy that he had flipped a house to that, he's now taking it across the finish line. We'll talk about that one a little bit because the question that people are asking all the time, we get it all the time, is now a good time to invest in real estate, or should I be waiting? Are interest rates too high? Is the market too oversaturated? Is there too much competition? Are rents up or down? Like, there's all this fear that everybody lives with as they think about investing in real estate, and they're trying to figure out, is now a good time to do it? We'll break that down, and we'll talk about it, and we'll show you real live working deals right now. People are making money. So if you're sitting on the sidelines, you're going to sit on the sidelines for a long time. And you've got to just get in the game and understand that part of getting in the game is not just going in and paying retail for the first house you see that somebody tells you can be a rental, but actually learning to understand how to evaluate opportunity, evaluate a market, a house, a neighborhood, a cash flow scenario, your risk, and then build the portfolio that you want. So we'll dive into that conversation. Around the corner here on the buttons, we got Joe. What's cracking?
Hey, I'm doing good. I'm seeing Henry in the gym, which is nice. And I've been in the gym. It happened to fall on the new, around a couple days after January. I'd been leading up to it. And daily habits been on and cracking.
Nice.
So,
well, you've been getting up early, like kind of disgustingly early.
You got to stack those wins, and I got to get it in.
Disgusting is a great word for that.
Yeah.
Right now, my pattern, and this will maintain. It's sustainable for me. Is between 3 and 3:30. I'm up by 3:30. I meditate it takes me about 30 minutes. I'm off to the gym. I'm there about 4:15. I get I'm at the gym for maybe about hour and 45 minutes, 2 hours. I end in the sauna for 10 to 15 minutes while I post on Instagram what I want to post for that day, encouragement and share a little bit of my story. And then I'm off to home. Today I did meal prep stuff, and man, I got 4 wins already stacked, baby. Let's go.
Nice. I like it.
I walked in there on Sunday morning thinking that I was going to get a nice little lift in before church. I'm in there early. He's 300 burpees in when I walk in. And I was like, I'm just going to leave. He's got me beat for today.
I wasn't expecting that. That reminded me of the CHP Academy, going in there. And, it was like, I've been doing a lot of burpees. So I was like, okay, 300 burpees, that's cool. But these guys are no joke. They do a burpee with some variation and then a squat at the top. And so it might be a 2-pump burpee. It might be a Navy SEAL burpee, a V-up burpee. And then, they always end whatever we're doing, 50 or, 25 in a set or 100 in a set. They always end the last one with, all right, 10 pump, with a 10 pump burpee and a 10 squat or something. They're maniacs, but it was great. Sunday fun day. We had it. We got it on and cracking.
I went up to fist bump him, and he's like on a live Zoom call with like all these dudes on the Zoom doing burpees on the screen. And I'm like, I'm just going to go over here.
You know what? Sometimes that accountability is what one needs,
True.
And I'd given my word to those guys. I was like, about a week ago, I was like, all right, Sunday with the homies, I'll do it. And I didn't want to do it that day. I got up. I was early to the gym, one day before, and but I got there. I got it in. Stacked the win.
I like it. Mike, what's up?
I'm trying to figure out what time you have to go to bed to get up at 3:30.
Right now, it's about
right after the podcast ends.
Yeah, like leave work at 5 and just go.
So
go crash out.
That is the big thing that I've been sort of playing with to make sure that I can be, up still about 8:30. I get to bed because my kid is an hour behind, and I like to hang out on Fortnite or just on FaceTime and play with him. But I do have a slump. I do get a little tired. But like last night, he had some stuff going on. I rested for about 10 minutes and then got up. And once we were in the game, it was cool. I had a good night's rest, got about 5.5, 6 hours of sleep. Bam, I'm in it. I got high energy right now.
Yeah, you do.
And I'm doing the like non-sleep deep rest along with, non-sleep deep rest along with cold showers, in the afternoon to evening to sort of, wake the system up and get it ready. So yeah, I'm trying to work with those patterns and see what works to, really keep it sustainable. Cause and I've been doing it for almost a month. So I know it's doable. I feel good.
Nice.
So
sweet.
Yeah.
Cool.
Nice. Mike, you were saying you were on a Kickstart call, helping folks onboard on FreedomSoft, which for those that don't know, a Kickstart call is we do a 6-week coaching and training program where you take people through the execution process of using FreedomSoft to launch marketing campaigns, generate leads, follow up, organize. Basically, it's a kickstart using the FreedomSoft software to launch a real estate investing business. Yep. And you were just telling me, was it? I don't know if it was earlier today or yesterday, that you had a really good call the other day, and you were specifically highlighting some of the tools. I think it would be just an interesting kind of update what you were going through there.
Yeah, first one was the dig tool. We call it the dig tool because it digs on your behalf. And so what happens is in FreedomSoft, we call it a property snapshot. You can pull up any address in the country and look up the data on it. And then what the dig tool does is it says behind the scenes, some AI tech says, okay, you're looking at this address. Let's go in and do a proximity search and find some other interesting opportunities in and around it. So could be vacant with a tired landlord, could be an out-of-state owner, something like that. But it finds 8 other opportunities. And I'll never forget, I was talking to a guy. I don't remember the exact timeline here, but this was probably 6 months after we released the dig tool. And we've had it for a little bit now. And I'm talking to a guy about a completely unrelated topic. And then before it was, so we're about to hang up. We're on a phone call. We're about to hang up. And he goes, hey, before you go, what's that thing where you look up an address and it pulls up 8 more? And I knew what he was talking about, right? He didn't remember what we named it, the dig tool. I said, oh, yeah, it's the dig tool. And the guy goes, man, that thing rocks. We have 9 properties under contract right now from the dig tool. So we don't ever want to underestimate the power of not just myself, but the way we teach it is if you have to go look at 123 Main Street, because that's the lead you're working or the deal, you're talking to the seller, whatever, go look at 123 Main Street. But then before you leave that property snapshot, glance at what the dig tool has to offer. And then what I love about our new direct mail system is in conjunction with the dig tool, if the dig tool identifies a property and I take a quick glance at it and say, I'd love to get direct mail out to that thing, 2 clicks later, I can send it. And so the combination of those two is killer. But why wouldn't you let some intelligent AI technology go to search behind the scenes to put opportunities right in front of you that you may not have on one of your lists? Or especially if you're working a remote market, you're not going to go drive by it. So it's going to be off your radar until the dig tool drums it up. And so that was the first topic we covered, here's
what I think is interesting about that. Here's where I think that's kind of cool. Take the guy or gal who's got a small team. They've got a lead manager. They've got somebody that's in charge of the marketing, somebody that's in charge of monitoring the inbound leads and making sure that those leads get distributed either through automation or get followed up on by the acquisitions team, right? In most cases, if you're a small real estate investor, small operator with a small team, 3 to 5, 5 to 7 people on the team, it's very likely that you have a lead manager in some type of a capacity. Sometimes your head acquisitions guy or gal kind of takes that role on. Sometimes the business owner takes that role on. In most cases, as we see businesses growing, we see that they've got a virtual assistant or an assistant, somebody taking on the role and the responsibility of lead management. And that is because you want to be able to track your inbound leads. You want to be able to make sure that, you know, the time to connection is happening, that your acquisitions guys are live answering those calls, or they're calling back the voicemails quickly, calling back the hangups quickly. Somebody's got to be looking at this stuff. And what the Dig tool does, and this is why I think it's so cool, is it can turn your lead managers, which is oftentimes a semi-overhead type of role. You know, it's not directly connected to revenue in that they're not the one closing the deal. They're the one sort of administratively making sure that everything is functioning right inside of the CRM and keeping it clean. But what's cool is the Dig tool turns your lead managers into revenue generators, because they're looking at all of the leads. They're looking at the addresses. They're looking at the opportunities on the dashboard in the leads inbox, and they're glancing at the main deal. They're looking at the stats. Have we called them? Have we called them back? Have we made connection yet? And then they can glance down at the Dig tool and they can say, does anything fit our buy box? When we're working this lead that is in the buy box based on the marketing we've done and the response that a seller has given us from that marketing, we've captured that lead inside of the CRM. Now the lead manager can just glance at the Dig tool, can glance at the 8 additional opportunities, properties, addresses that have been dug up for you and say, does anything else fit the buy box? You click on one that fits the buy box, it opens the property snapshot, and right in front of you, you see the motivation icons. You see a quick snapshot of what the likely motivation to sell could be for that seller. And then, as Mike, you just mentioned, with another 2 clicks, you can say send direct mail. You click the sequence that matches the motivation icons, and boom, the direct mail's out the door. So you turn your lead managers for a few cents for the cost of direct mail, and the eyeballs they're already putting on your leads into revenue-driving, revenue-generating members of your team, which is an incredibly powerful thing once you get it in motion, kind of retrain your lead managers to add this approach to their routine, and it's a big deal.
Yeah, it's a huge deal.
Yeah, you've created a whole new marketing channel basically just by creating,
That's right.
2 clicks per 8 records that show up.
That's right.
An additional 2 to 3 minutes of that lead manager's new habits per property that they look up. And if you do that every single day, that marketing channel is going to be a machine of mail that's running to new opportunities that your team probably weren't even aware of, which is pretty cool.
And that's the thing, right? If using the Dig tool is one of those things that it's a slow burn, right? But it builds momentum over time. And if to your numbers, if you just had your lead managers just working your lists and working your inbound leads, working your leads inbox every day, and you added 2 new opportunities off the Dig tool into the opportunities list and drop direct mail, at the end of a month, you've got 60 very specifically targeted opportunities. It's almost like driving for dollars, but you're using tech to do all of the driving and digging for you. So you're not out there burning gas. You're not out there burning time. You're not spending all of this time driving up and down the streets. What you're doing is you're working the leads that are coming into your CRM. You're working your lists. You're managing your organization, and you're saying, wow, there's one that fits the buy box. We don't see that in our list yet. Let's go ahead and drop it into queue and get this thing rolling.
So, Rob, it's not only like, driving for dollars or virtually driving for dollars, but it's like driving for dollars with X-ray vision. Because what happens is if a property's vacant and has, 3 feet tall weeds in the front yard, you can see that there's probably some distress. But if you go to the house right next door to that and it appears to be in good shape, you may not know what's going on behind the scenes. But the dig tool knows some of those things going on behind the scenes because it's accessing data. And so what happens is it can see more than your eyeballs can see. So not only is it like driving for dollars, but it's way more effective than driving for dollars. Because of the data behind the scenes that is not apparent visually looking at the house.
It's super cool. Like, it's super cool for people that are sitting here, listening to this and hearing about it. If you haven't experienced it, go into your FreedomSoft account or go get signed up with a FreedomSoft account. Turn on the dig tool and just start playing with it. You'll be blown away by the opportunities that this thing digs up. And I mean, we have testimonial after testimonial after testimonial of people saying, "Hey, I turned on the dig tool, I used it, I kind of trained my team on this process, and off to the races." So it's a pretty cool thing. Henry, you got an interesting shout out this morning while at the gym.
Yeah. I was walking in and I just got a random Facebook Messenger message to me. Guy I sold to late October, sometime last year.
You wholesaled a house to him.
Wholesaled a house to him. For those of you that have listened in the past, it was a part of that huge chunk of turnkey, tenant occupied, but some were vacant. And this was one of the vacant ones, and it met one of my buyer's buy box, and I wholesaled it to him back in August. And I always in a habit to learn my buyer's buy box and what their plans are and to stay connected with them. I always ask them when I do a house with them and I say, "Hey, what's your plans? What's your go-to here? What are you going to be doing to it?" Just cuz I'm trying to learn and stay interested. And he told me back in August, and come today, he sent me a message and said, "Hey, took longer than the timeline I told you. It was supposed to be about 2 or 3 months and ready to be rented, but he had a lot of other projects going on." He said, "But I thought you'd want to see what the finishing picture was." And he sent me the link, and it was a link to the affordable housing website in St. Louis, and the house that I wholesaled to him was up for rent for $1,550, 3-bedroom, 1-bath. And man, it was really cool because I remember the pictures that I sent to him that we got taken on my side. And I remember looking at him like, oh, this is really close to being ready to go. And then what he did to it was just transformed it. And he could have told me that I have it listed on the open market for an owner occupant to buy it. And I would have believed that too.
Got it.
But regardless, it was a really cool thing to see the ending result of me, the wholesaler, taking a distressed property that a seller wasn't going to do the work, being able to connect that person to an end buyer that was going to do the work. And now there's a great 3-bedroom, 1-bathroom up for rent via Section 8 to a new homeowner that's going to have this really cool house for their family or whatever.
Yeah. And, without you being a wholesaler, that inventory, that rental, that opportunity for a family to live in a nice, new, rehab, clean house doesn't exist, right? Because that house was vacant, sitting there, not performing, doing absolutely nothing for the previous owner before you went under contract, and you could have either closed on it yourself or this is one you chose to flip to someone else and let them do. But that's the value that wholesalers bring to the market, right? I mean, if it's not for us, because let's just face the reality. If the seller would have called a real estate agent, the real estate agent would have said, "Hey, if you fix up X, Y, and Z, if you spend $10,000, $15,000 to get it fixed up, I can list it for you for sale." Not all sellers want to do that. Not all sellers can do that.
Yeah. Or even listing it as is on the market, the seller would have, still would have been dealing with all these people walking the property and then just nitpicking, even though he's listing it as is.
Yeah.
And then, who knows how long that timeline would have been.
That's right. Exactly. Here's the other interesting thing about this deal, kind of the math on this, because if I remember right, and I think you just said this in passing before we clicked the mic on here, when you wholesaled it, you presented it as a deal. What do you remember? What numbers? What did you have it under contract?
I'll just lay the whole paper out. I had it under contract for 45.
Okay.
And I sold it for 53 to him. That was the exact number. So my assignment fee, I remember, was $8K on this deal. When we walked it and when I saw it, I knew this area because I have rentals in this zip code, and in my mind, I'm like, this rents for $1,100 to $1,200 all day. Okay. Every day. Yep. As a 3-bed. And to get that, based off who I got to walk it for me, we were looking at $5,000 to $10,000 worth of a cleanup, cosmetic, adding a refrigerator in, stuff like that. The smaller things to get it rent ready. Yep. So everybody that I pitched it out there to was seeing a $10K estimated rehab. Yep. From me. Yep. And you had probably 60 or 70 pictures. Mm-hmm. You had probably 8 to 10 minutes worth of walkthrough video. Yep, everything. The normal thing that we teach: full walkthrough of the outside, full walkthrough on the inside, four corners in every room, kitchen, bathrooms, basement, and then your serious pictures on the mechanicals, the everything like that. So I mean, any of us here looking at those pictures, you would have. I believe, Rob, you would have said, yeah, that's about 10 to 15 of work, and I would rent it out for $1,200. So at a 53 purchase price, 10 to 15, you're looking at under 70, around 65 all in to rent for $1,200. I mean, that's a good cap rate. We would take that all day. Yep.
Yeah, and what's interesting is you found out the guy that did the deal put just shy of $30,000 into it. Mm-hmm. And this is the point that I want to make. You looked at this deal and said, hey, some investor can come in and buy this and can get it rent ready, cleaned up, functional, safe, clean, rent ready for 10 to 15 grand. You didn't know the guy you flipped it to is saying, I think I'm going to put more into it. You didn't realize he actually put almost 30 grand into it. Mm-hmm. So he's in at about $80,000. And this is the point that I want to make. Wholesalers, we don't always know what our end buyer's plan is, right? What we want to do is we want to present the best potential deal that we can. That we want to paint a picture of how do we transform this house and turn it into an operating piece of real estate? At the end of the day, how does somebody make money with this house? Now, how somebody chooses to make money may follow our game plan and may not. And in this case, it did not follow the game plan. He put about an extra $15,000 or $20,000 into the rehab, but he also got an extra $400 to $500 in rent.
Yeah. I mean, granted, it's up for rent right now, not rented yet, but it's on Section 8s, meaning that it's probably been approved for that amount, or there are comparable comps that, proved.
Well, if it's on the affordable housing website already listed for sale, it's approved.
Yeah.
Now they just need to find the
voucher. Yeah.
A voucher that'll fill.
Yeah. And no doubt in my mind that'll get filled. I think that's maybe his exit, taking what I pitched to him and then going above and beyond and doing this insane amount of work and then giving, up a nice rental unit. And maybe the eventual goal here is to go ahead and do the really, fine detailed work up front to let it season. And then, like I mentioned to you before we started today, he may be looking to refinance, get that cash out to go into another deal, in maybe a year or two if interest rates drop below. But you're running the numbers now in your calculator.
Here's how I bet you he looked at it.
Yeah.
Let's assume he put an extra $20,000 into the deal than what you originally presented, but you figured it would rent for $1,100 a month. Mm-hmm. He's got it rented at $1,550, so $450 a month more. The extra $20,000 he put into the repairs, if he financed that full amount, it cost him in debt service about an extra $175. But for that extra $175 in repair debt service and like pushing the value up, he got an extra $450 in income. So his net positive by over improving and financing that entire $20,000 extra was a net positive $275 a month. That's how he looked at the math. Because what I did here to figure this out is I said, okay, he's got about 80 grand. He bought it for 53. He put a little shy of 30 into it, so he's all in. He told you at $80,000, and his payment he told you was what, $700?
$700, yeah. So the layout of this model that he uses is he goes in through a local lender or local bank, I don't know which one it is, that starts you on a shorter term construction loan for the purchase and the rehab. And then if you choose to, you can just smoothly, it's all in the paperwork, smoothly transition yourself into a longer mortgage note.
20, just roll 30 it over to long term.
Yeah.
So if his payment is $700 and his debt is $80,000, and let's say he did a 30% or a 30-year loan, his interest rate on that is 9.97%. So basically 10%. Now, we don't know if he did PITI wrapped into this loan or not. We're just going to assume that it's it's a bank. It's a traditional bank. Is that what you told me?
Yeah, I think it's local bank. Yeah,
so it's probably PITI.
Yeah,
it's probably escrowed in. So if we take $100 out of that and just say his principal and interest payment, PI, not taxes and insurance, we'll look at that in the operating cost, is $600. On a 30-year note, his interest rate on his long-term debt with this bank is 8.25%, 8.23. Now, if he did this on a 20-year note, and we don't know, then his interest rate would be down at 6.5%. So it's likely he's got a 30-year amortization at the 8.25%, $600 PI payment, and then he's got operating costs on top of that. So his operating costs are about 30%. So let's just figure it's $400. So he's all in PITI plus TIM-V, taxes, insurance, maintenance, management, vacancy, at $1,000, and he's rented at $1,550. So he's going to put $550 a month net positive cash flow in his pocket. Hey friends, Rob Swanson here. Let me jump in and talk to you really quick about the Real Estate Mogul Academy. You might be sitting back listening to this and saying, how do I get in proximity with these guys? How do I have these kind of conversations, water cooler, hallway conversations every single day to help me go where I want to go in my real estate investing business? Whether you're just getting started or you're already a seasoned pro trying to elevate and go to that next step, the Real Estate Mogul Academy might be for you. What we'd like to do is offer you a free strategy session where someone from my team will jump on the phone. We'll talk about where you are, where you want to go, and how the Real Estate Mogul Academy might be the right fit for you. If you're saying to yourself, that sounds great, let's do it, go to mogulmembers.com, fill out your name and your contact information, and let's jump on the phone and let's chat. Let's see if we can help you go where you want to go this year.
Yeah, and then I know we, in the background, I know he knows that with that extra work, he's cushioned himself with an equity backing on this house, because ARV, and this was on my slip too, ARV is 125 on a 3-bed on this street in this area. Just you can find the comparables. It's easy to know that it's 125. And I think that was another reason why he put in that extra work, is because now he's sitting on this amount of equity that he's built up for himself.
Yeah, I mean, if if the bank appraised it, which is what they likely did, at 80, at 125, if it's ARV, and he's all in at 80, that's 64 cents on the dollar.
Mm-hmm.
So he's all in long-term debt with $550 a month net positive cash flow at 64 cents on the dollar. Do that deal all day long.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a deal that's happening right now in the market.
Yeah.
No, Rob, that's impossible at 8%.
I mean, not even now for
Has to
sure,
be
but we're
3%.
talking like mid-August where like everyone was talking about like interest rates are never going back down. This is a terrible time to buy. Like there's no money in any of the deals.
Here's the thing though. Like, yeah, that's the sky's falling conversation that happens out there in the world of real estate at times, right? If we don't know this $700 a month payment. We're just going off of the what he told you, right? We don't know if the $700 payment is PITI or if it's just PI. If it's PITI, and the $700 is PITI, it's all inclusive, then he's paying he's paying a 9.97% interest rate. He's paying 10%. If it's only PI, 600, then he's paying 8.25%. The point is, he's paying between 8.25% and 10% interest rate.
Yeah.
We don't know which it is, but somewhere between 8.25% and 10%. And everybody talks about how, oh man, the days of low interest rates, they're gone, and I can't make it cash flow anymore, and real estate doesn't work, and I'm just going to sit on the sidelines until rates come back down. 8.25% to 10%, $550 a month net positive cash flow.
And the proof is in the pudding here, because I in my message today, I had forgotten that the program rolls you into a longer term. So he said my payment's $700, and in my mind I'm like, oh, he's only got like 3 or 4 more months on this 12-month construction loan, and then he's got to find out what he needs to do. And I said, well, that's awesome, man. Are you planning on refinancing? And this is where the proof is. He said, I could, but to be honest, with it renting at $1,550, I'm only paying $700 a month. He said, I'm cash flowing above what I'm normally used to making anyway, just because of how good the deal ended up working for me.
Yep.
So he said, if interest rates decide to go back down, sure, I'll do a cash out refinance and see where the numbers lay out. But he said, I'm fine just hanging out in this program.
Yep. Here's a statement. Pigs get fed, hogs get slaughtered. I'll say that because when you wholesale a deal, you always want to leave the lion's share of meat on the bone for your buyer. Let them make a ton of money from you because they're taking all the risk. They're doing all the work beyond the work that we did to find it and drum up the deal. And that's a skill set that we as wholesalers deserve to be paid and paid well for. But they took on the risk of capital placement and all of the associated things, right? But when you look at this deal, it is possible that you left some money on the table.
Yeah, and I was going to talk about that because, I mean, that's not what I had it for sale at, right? I had it for sale at 65 or 66, and he
beat you up.
He beat me up. But hey, I don't see it that way, because you know what his last message today said to me? Where's my next one?
Yeah, what do you got?
He said,
That's exactly right.
He said, you got another one just like this?
That's right.
Send me another.
Yep. So, I mean, 15K versus 8K, but now I've developed a relationship. I'll do 8K all day with him multiple times.
Oh yeah, that's a 6-figure a year relationship.
Mm-hmm.
If you just keep feeding deals to him, that's a done deal.
But I mean, that's the thing, right? I went to Freedom Soft, buy box, 3-bed, 2-bed, 1 bath, rehab under 20, these areas. I'm one phone call away from the next, direct mail lead that comes in that matches it up.
That's right. That's how you
stuff's
go.
Fun.
That's how you go from. And we've talked a lot about this, right? Your first year wholesaling was canceled contracts, wrong numbers, bad deals, low margins. Your second year was, oh, this is working, but you were working a little bit harder to build the relationships and to kind of hone in on the geography where the deal flow was relatively easy. Today, you know the geography, you know the deal flow, you know the numbers, you've got the margins figured out, you know where you can make money and you can pass money on to your buyer, and most importantly, you've got the buyer relationships. So now you don't even have to go post in a Facebook group or shoot out an email address or text a dozen guys. You can call up 1, 2, or 3 guys or gals and say, hey, here's what I've got. Here's the price. Drive by in the next hour. Put your eyes on it. Give me a call back. Tell me if you want it. Mm-hmm. You're literally now in and out of deals in less than an hour with relationships that have proven to close in the past. You know they're good for their word. They can get it across the finish line. They're not going to balk on a non-refundable earnest money deposit. Like none of the issues that wholesalers experience at the beginning of the game, you're beyond that. You're over the hump, and now it just gets easier and easier. That's the fun part about this business.
Yeah, but eventually you go into, now you want to be the one that's in that position to get $550 a month, and
totally.
Then you start getting mad at yourself when you have to wholesale these deals, or because you want them for yourself. This is just an interesting situation.
Private money.
It's yeah, an interesting paradigm, right? Because at the first you're just like, does it even work? Mm-hmm. And then second, you're like, okay, it worked. Third, can I repeat it? Fourth, okay, I repeated it. Fifth, can I do this more? Can I make more money per deal? And then eventually you get to the point where you flip a deal and you make 10 grand and you're mad at yourself because you wanted to buy it yourself and not flip it. And so you went from, this is amazing, to I'm frustrated with myself because I just made 10 grand and I didn't buy the house instead. Like, that's the evolution of a wholesaler.
I mean, don't get me wrong. The 10's nice because that will eventually be used to then purchase the next deal for myself. But
right.
Man, when the numbers just, because I mean, all these guys, especially him, like his buy box is almost very similar to mine. Like that house was a spitting image of another one that I own.
Yeah.
So when that happens, man, it's like that could have been in your portfolio kind of thing.
Yep. I love it.
There's enough for everybody to eat.
Yeah, I know.
There's enough for everybody.
But I'm hungry, man. I'm hungry.
But yeah, it isn't that an interesting dichotomy when you get to the point in your real estate investing career where you flip a house, you make 10 grand wholesaling it, and you can look back at it and you can be frustrated with yourself because you sold the deal and didn't keep it. You know the biggest regret I ever have in real estate? Selling deals. And now, through life, through the evolution and building of a business, through this whole process, there comes a time, like, you've got to generate cash, right? Cash is the lifeblood that fuels the operation that helps you continue to grow. And so there's a need oftentimes to sell or liquidate to generate cash in order to, continue growing the business. And so at the end of the, when you really look back and think about it, you're like, okay, I'm good. It's all good, but it is the biggest regret. I had a house, man, on Vasquez that I regret selling to this day. I bought this house for like $38,000. I put like 20, 25 into it. I was into it for under 60. And today, right now, this house rents for like $2,350 a month. And I was in rehab under 60 grand. And I've talked about this a lot, but I used to consider it my my $30 million mistake, and then due to Bidenomics, I now consider it my $40 million mistake because of inflation. The mistake has just gone up in value. So, which, it's all the houses that I bought that I should have kept and made good money, did okay, liked it, had fun. But man, if I would have recognized that if I let the market do the work, and this is what so many real estate investors don't understand. You can have all the strategy in the world. You can have all the hustle in the world. You can have all the private money in the world. You can have all the skill set, the technique and ability to buy and negotiate, and you could be the best. You could be the best negotiator. All of that effort that you can personally bring to the table will pale in comparison to what the market will do for your wealth if you let the market do it. The market will make you more money than you ever can. Now, that also, you have to understand that there are times where the effort you have to put in goes up because the market is in a downward cycle surge. But as you put in the up effort because the market isn't serving, when that market comes back, all of your up effort will be amplified like 10x. And so it's an amazing thing to just understand. Just let the market do the work for you, right? You don't have to predict the market. You don't have to read the crystal ball. You just have to be in the game and have sound, fundamental value investing principles that drive the building of your portfolio, and then sit back and let time and the market build your wealth. It's pretty awesome. Hey, I want to make a transition here. I want to talk about something we're rolling out through FreedomSoft in 2024. In fact, we're rolling it out today across the entire FreedomSoft CRM platform. We've been beta testing it and letting people kind of turn it on for probably about a week. But I want to talk about the leads inbox, and this is a massive, amazing 2024 update to the way FreedomSoft operates. And what we're doing is we're taking the same infrastructure that FreedomSoft is known for, and that's its pipeline approach to lead generation and workflow processing all the way to the back end of a closed deal. And we're restructuring some of the interaction inside of the technology and making things more simple. You know, one of the most amazing things about running a CRM, and FreedomSoft in particular, is its wild flexibility. You can come in as a brand new real estate investor, and FreedomSoft is ready to run out of the box. You don't have to do anything to it. But for those investors that are experienced pros, that have large teams, that operate in multiple markets, that, you know, insert all of the variables, in order to build a technology that can take somebody from just starting all the way to fully scalable and fully customizable to the way they do business, that creates some challenges. Because what you have to do is you have to take the guardrails off the software a little bit. And taking the guardrails off the software works really good for the experienced guy because he understands fundamentally what the guardrails should be. But for the newer investor, taking the guardrails off sometimes creates confusion because it lets them kind of do too many things rather than kind of forcing them to do the right thing. And so we stepped back last year and we said, how do we maintain the flexibility and the full customization so that if you're Johnny and Jill who just signed up for FreedomSoft and you're just getting started, you can step into FreedomSoft and you've got the guardrails in place and the focus, like the step-by-step, just do this, and you can't screw it up, all the way to if you're a large real estate fund operating with 50 acquisitions people in 2 different offices in 8 markets across the country, you can customize and run FreedomSoft to run your entire operation. How do we bridge that gap? And so part of the answer to bridging that gap is launching what we call the Leads Inbox. And the Leads Inbox with active conversations is a new infrastructure. It's a structure to FreedomSoft that accomplishes those two goals. And the intention of this is to centralize lead management and lead capture and lead interaction, giving people in the FreedomSoft application one place to go for the most recent, active, hottest opportunities, and that's the leads inbox. And giving them throughout the application the ability to pop up active conversations, because no matter, where you are in the application, no matter what you're doing, a seller or a buyer or somebody can always be calling you, texting you, interacting with you in some way. And so being able to have quick access to those active conversations to respond and interact is critical. And so the same infrastructure of lists and campaigns for tracking and workspaces for the private distribution of leads to your team exists. But now what we've done is we've taken the permission controls that people have inside of their FreedomSoft account and to be able to say, I want to give permission to Johnny, Jill, Susan, Jim, different parts of the application. And those permission controls, you can either say you have all access to everything, or you can lock it down. And based on those permission controls, your leads inbox only shows what you as the account owner wants your team to see. And your team only has one place to go when they log in to make sure that they're following up, catching up, and handling the most urgent, the hottest opportunities. And that's the leads inbox. And so we've done some redesign and some restructuring of the layout of the technology, again, maintaining the pipeline infrastructure, but restructuring it slightly to make it more simple, putting the rails on for the new investor, and yet keeping the flexibility for the experienced pro. And we're pretty doggone excited about it. I've been playing with it in my own personal accounts. I've been playing around with it in beta for the last couple of months, and to see it get to where it is today is kind of a culmination of one of the mantras that we always speak at FreedomSoft, and that is organization comes before automation. And this mantra came over the years of onboarding people from other systems into FreedomSoft, kind of seeing a chaotic structure that they've been kind of living and operating in, helping them import and bring those leads into FreedomSoft, and then kind of putting the line in the sand to say, we're not going to automate anything upon import. What we're going to do is we're going to import. We're going to take you from another system into FreedomSoft. We're going to organize everything. It's going to be organized by lists, campaigns, workspaces. You're going to have your tracking. You're going to have the visual leads dashboard so you can see transparently what's going on inside of your entire records universe. And now, once you've got the visual leads dashboard perspective, now we can go ahead and we can automate. And so let's organize before we automate is something that we believe in. And the leads inbox is just the next level of leaning in on the organization and the ease of use within the software and the technology to make your team know exactly what to do, what's the hottest opportunity, and never lose a lead or miss an opportunity. And we see that all the time, right? We see it coming from almost every other system out there. And so if you think about the leads inbox, and I'm going to let you guys talk about it too, because I think you guys have been playing around with it, and you guys do a lot of demos with people. And so if you think about the leads inbox, it kind of functions like an email inbox where the most recent activity always lands to the top. And so you log in, you land in your leads inbox, and if somebody texted you, if somebody called you, if somebody shot you an email, if like whatever activity is hot for you to handle is always at the top of your leads inbox. It's not cluttered. It's not buried. The activity is transparent, and it's pretty doggone cool. We spent a lot of time trying to say, from our low-cost competitors to our really expensive competitors, right? How do we bridge the gap and make something that does exactly what somebody would want it to do in a way that is efficient, simple, reduces clicks, and gives both the account owner and the team that's in there working daily transparency to make something happen. So that's like my, 8-minute diatribe on
I'm
the
sold.
leads inbox.
I would use it.
It's freaking awesome.
Yeah, I mean, when we released it, when we were building it, all three of us here were, trying to think about what was changing, what was staying. We were still actively showing what FreedomSoft still is now, and the whole time as we kept building it and it kept getting closer and closer, I would be in a real life demo on old view FreedomSoft, and every time it would just keep getting more clear on why are we doing it this way, and I can't wait for the leads inbox to come out, because it's, don't get me wrong, like the organization with the pipeline, it makes sense when you set it up correctly the first time, but as soon as if you go off the rails, like you said, you have the possibility that you can start getting confused. And the leads inbox, to me, is the version of FreedomSoft that it was made to be, basically, on the structure of it all. And man, I'm just excited because a lot of you guys that listen that are FreedomSoft users, we try to always harp on like making sure you understand the difference between a prospect and a lead, a list and a campaign, and how you get that correctly set up for the beginning of FreedomSoft. And man, the leads inbox,
and now it doesn't matter.
The leads inbox just removes that layer of confusion and questioning altogether, and it's just straightforward. For example, you talked about the transparency piece and things potentially getting lost, because if Rob is starting up his direct mail marketing across 5 states, we would teach him to go make 5 marketing campaigns for each of those markets with phone numbers. But if he gets phone calls from each of those today, and he wanted to see how each of those marketing efforts were doing for him, the amount of clicks and in and out of the pipeline channel that he's going to have to go in and out of is going to be frustrating. And he may potentially not see a lead that is marked as new because of the way that it was set up. Now, Rob is going to say leads inbox, and he'll see 5 new phone calls across 5 markets right in front of him, and he can click on active conversations and get back in touch with them.
Yep.
I'm super excited, man.
And that's, for the experienced guy, the structure of the technology, the way we used to do it, worked. For the experienced guy, it worked. For the new guy or gal, they got more confused because they didn't have the history or the track record or the experience to know kind of what they were doing. And so the leads inbox rolled out in FreedomSoft this year, right now, is that thing that eliminates that confusion. It puts the rails on for the new user, and it maintains the full customizable flexibility for an experienced pro. We're super excited for this to kind of get some traction and get out there.
Rob, I was just going to say quick, in addition to the simplicity, one of my favorite things is that you can adjust the default setting to sellers or buyers. And what that's really cool is for our FreedomSoft users that have a team, small team or big team, if they have people on the team that are specific to acquisitions or spend most of the day in acquisitions, they can set the default to sellers. If they have other team members who are primarily on the disposition side, they can set it to buyers. And now from an efficiency standpoint, they go to the same page. It's called the leads inbox, but they can see the data that's most relevant to their day-to-day activities. So some of that little, nuanced customization in there is killer.
And also, if your team member is on the disposition side and they're not even given permission to see the seller lead, the acquisition side of the business, they don't even see it, because permission control controls the view of the leads inbox. So it's cool because your entire team, your entire sales, acquisitions, dispositions teams gets to work in the same place, the leads inbox, and you get to control how that leads inbox shows up, what records are prevalent and viewable, seeable by your various team members. So again, as an experienced real estate investor operator, if you're looking for something that just streamlines and simplifies, and in fact, we were working over the last week, bringing a couple of really experienced guys. Like, these are guys doing 100 to 200 deals a year, not small operations. And with teams, with lead managers, with acquisitions people, with dispositions people, true operators. And, they're coming off of things that are, your Salesforce skins and other, custom built things. And, the bigger the operator gets, the more they have, number one, the money to spend on going and playing and trying different things. And it seems like they always end up going and spending a whole bunch of money trying to build something from scratch and then integrating everything in, or they go spend money on something that's a really expensive system that, again, now you need somebody on your team that is just your integrations manager, right? And is constantly making sure that integrations are working. Well, we've had now a track record history through the holidays and now into the first part of the new year where we're starting to show really experienced operators the power of an off-the-shelf yet fully customizable software that's designed for a true operator. I mean, I'm a true operator. I understand what a true operator needs. And that's why we've built FreedomSoft the way we've built FreedomSoft, and why we landed on the leads inbox infrastructure and the way it's designed today is to serve the rails for the new guy and the full customization, but simplicity for the operator. So pretty excited.
I'm about to go show it here in about 30 minutes.
Is that right?
Yeah.
You got a demo?
Yeah. I'm excited.
Nice. And let me ask you this. How have demos changed? Like, what you used to show versus what you show today and how you do a demo. Mm-hmm. Do you guys feel like it has changed greatly, or has it simplified? What has the process been?
I think yes and yes on both. For me personally, on the giver side, I'm giving the demo. Mm-hmm. There's like a layer of like not really stress, but like I don't feel like I need to over explain to make sure that they understand it, because I know to an entry level person that doesn't really understand the separation of prospect, lead, list, marketing.
Yep.
There was always that, I really need to make sure that I word my sentences correctly so that their brain understands how this needs to be laid out. And now I really I don't feel that anymore, because
I think
it's really straightforward.
I think it's important to explain why you felt that need before, and it comes down to tracking and stats inside of a software, mm-hmm. right? So a prospect is a record that lives in a list. A lead is a record that has responded to marketing and come inbound to the CRM.
Yep.
And so what we always do is we look at the total universe of records, which is our prospects and leads, but then we look at the number of prospects in a list, and then we look at the marketing effort that was done to those prospects, and we look at the number of leads generated based on that marketing effort.
Yep.
And so if you understand the thought process behind the infrastructure, you can say, oh, okay, well, that helps me understand what marketing effort did I do that produced the best number of leads? What list did that marketing effort come out of? Was cold calling good? Was direct mail good? Was PPC good? Was, what was it that actually produced the leads? And then we track that all the way to the closing, such that when you mark that record all the way through the pipeline as closed, it goes all the way back up the pipeline to your list and says, this list just had a deal closed out of it. And it tracks it through the campaign. This marketing effort generated this lead and just had a deal closed, all the way down to the end. And the leads inbox eliminates people having to know any of that.
Yeah, I mean,
because it just does it.
Yeah, exactly. And don't get me wrong, like what it was and what it is now, that tracking capability is still there, right?
Oh yeah.
In the very end, you'll know what list did it come from, what source of marketing did I do to cause it to pop up and say, hey, I'm ready to sell, and then everything that happened after that. That's all there. The layer of like, not really stress, but I wanted to make sure I explained it correctly, is because you said it at the beginning. There were hardly any guardrails on purpose, so I needed to make sure I explained it with guardrails so that they could then take what they needed to do and set it up. And sometimes that wouldn't happen, because if you didn't understand the differences, you had the availability to say, I have a spreadsheet of people that I think are leads, but in reality they're prospects, and import them into wherever I wanted to in FreedomSoft. And then I've already started off on the wrong foot, really. And now with the leads inbox, it's very much centered on that unidirectional timeline, to where you import into a list, then from inbound communication, from action you're taking, the leads inbox will show that.
Yep.
So I mean, on my end, I'm excited on the demo side, because I don't feel that need to over explain, because the software is just going to do it for me.
Yep.
So I'm excited on that end. On the back end, on the receiving end, I'm seeing that the light bulb is coming up a lot sooner.
Yeah.
Right? Because there's no more like, okay, let me think about what he just said and let me make sure I understand all of what's going on. Now it's just like, oh, I get it. That makes sense.
Well, and it came from, I mean, about, I don't know, 4 months ago or so, I personally launched my own business into 4 different markets, right? And I went into old FreedomSoft and set it up exactly how we would do it. And I had the lists by market. I organized them on, in the lists view into groups. I did the marketing. I set up the phone numbers for each market. I did all of the stuff right. And what I realized is, going from what I did there to the leads inbox, so simple, because it almost walks you through the correct infrastructure, so that you as a business owner are going to, you're almost forced to do it right, so that the transparency of what list performs the best, what marketing effort performs the best, where am I getting my highest margin leads, like that becomes transparent without you even thinking about it on the front end, and saying, how should I track this? The leads inbox infrastructure of FreedomSoft not only makes it easier for your team day to day to operate, but it makes it easier for you to see what's working, what's not, even if you didn't know that was going to be a benefit when you first started doing it. All right, guys, I think that's a wrap for today. I'm pretty excited about the things that we've got cracking. I want people, if you're not checking it out yet, go check out Freedom Soft and check out the Leads inbox. You and your team are going to absolutely dig it. So with that, I think we'll wrap it. Cheers.
Peace.
Hey friends, Rob Swanson here. Let me jump in and talk to you really quick about the Real Estate Mogul Academy. You might be sitting back listening to this and saying, how do I get in proximity with these guys? How do I have these kind of conversations, water cooler, hallway conversations every single day to help me go where I want to go in my real estate investing business? Whether you're just getting started or you're already a seasoned pro trying to elevate and go to that next step, the Real Estate Mogul Academy might be for you. What we'd like to do is offer you a free strategy session where someone from my team will jump on the phone. We'll talk about where you are, where you want to go, and how the Real Estate Mogul Academy might be the right fit for you. If you're saying to yourself, that sounds great, let's do it, go to mogulmembers.com, fill out your name and your contact information, and let's jump on the phone and let's chat. Let's see if we can help you go where you want to go this year.